If you're in direct sales, then you've probably heard or said something like, oh, my Facebook parties are so terrible. Nobody is seeing my posts. But I'm here to tell you that Facebook parties are not your problem. It is relying on Facebook as your only way to reach people that is your problem. Because you know what? Facebook just isn't designed to deliver our content to every guest consistently and reliably. So if we keep thinking that maybe it will work if we just hope hard enough or complain more, then we are in for disappointment. Because you know what? Facebook is going to Facebook. So the question is, what are you going to do to deal with that? So the way I see it, the problem isn't actually Facebook. Facebook is not standing in the way of you reaching people. It just isn't adequate as your only way to reach people. So what you need is another strategy independent of Facebook that can reach your guests more reliably. And with such a strategy in place, you can still use Facebook. If you enjoy having a Facebook group as part of your event and some of the, content you can post there, some of the conversations you can have there, if your host and your guests love it, then sure, it can be part of the experience. But with an underlying strategy independent of Facebook that's going to help you connect with people, then in that context, Facebook becomes additive. It becomes just something you're sprinkling on top that can add to the experience, but it's not going to cause so much frustration because it's not your only way to reach people. And in fact, I would argue that such an underlying strategy is needed for other styles of events. Because let's say you do Zoom events. The Zoom event is wonderful for the people who show up and they're chatting with you live, they engage with you, they're more likely to order. But what about the people who aren't free on Thursday night at 7? Or what if you do a local in-person event and there are people who might be interested who aren't local? These events tend to, in my experience and what I hear from others, they tend to have more success than a Facebook party. But guess what? They still have the same problem that you're not going to reach everybody. None of these party styles are actually a full solution because with the case of Zoom or in person as opposed to Facebook, well, maybe you don't have algorithm drama, but now you have scheduling drama or geographical, constraints where people aren't going to get to connect with you in the same way. And so again, none of these styles are problematic in and of themselves. They're just not a complete solution. And I believe that for too long, we have just accepted the fact that some guests are going to fall through the cracks. We've accepted the fact that, well, if they don't show up in person, then maybe my hostess will send them the shopping link and maybe they'll go online and look. I don't know. I don't even know who these people are. I don't have any way to reach them. We've accepted that as reality, and I don't think that's good enough. So what if that doesn't have to be the case? I mentioned that we need to have an underlying strategy that's independent of Facebook, that is independent of scheduling or geographical constraints, where we can still reach everyone who is interested in what we have to say. And that is what drove my original creation of the Direct Sales on Demand method. So starting in 2020, I developed this method, I was using it, I started teaching it. Fast forward, and nearly 2,000 direct sellers have learned the DSOD method from me, where we are focusing on an on-demand experience. And two really key components of an on-demand experience are, number one, having a party page. So a simple website that contains some product and company information, as well as the logistical info people need, like where do I have to be and when? When is the order deadline? How do I order? All of those things are organized for them on a page where they can view it anytime on their own time, on demand. And then the second component is more about the connection, the interaction that can happen over text by using a text strategy. So those two things were kind of the key of unlocking this ability to have an on-demand event. And it's been hugely popular and helped a lot of direct sellers. But it turns out that these strategies that made an on-demand event possible are actually beneficial for any kind of an event, not just ones that are strictly on demand. So although I started teaching on demand as kind of an alternative to these other party styles, I now teach it as the foundation. So it is a foundational layer of every party so that every event has a way that you're reaching every guest. You are delivering a party page. You are delivering text to them. Really, from the moment they raise their hand and say, yes, I'm interested, they get to start interacting with you and learning about you. And then you can see that gathering in person or on Facebook or on Zoom or on Squee can then kind of be sprinkled on top of that as an additional place of interaction and content. I think that's really helpful if we can view all of our events, even if we run different kind of styles of events, see them all as just being variations on a theme. So if this is resonating with you, I want you to know that this strategy is not just possible. It may sound like a lot, but it's completely possible. It is also actually really easy to do. Why is that? Well, like I said, I taught the direct sales on demand method for about 2 years, showing direct sellers how to do basically this strategy. And it was really popular. It was a great program, but I was limited. I was limited to using just the tools that already existed and trying to piece them together into a strategy. So it still felt like, we're having a Google form for signups, and then we need a way to share those signups with the hosts. And we have to then, if we're going to do automatic texting and Project Broadcast, we need to add those guests to Project Broadcast to get them in there. And it still was feeling like a lot of manual steps. And I thought, this is the 2020s. We need to have better tools in the direct sales space. And so I built one. I built what was missing, and it is called SparkHub. It is precisely engineered to accomplish the exact strategy that I'm talking about here. I believe that for too long as direct sellers, we have had to limit our creative strategic ideas because we didn't have the right technology to support those ideas. We've put up with ill-fitting tools for far too long. And so I invite you to see how SparkHub can help you run every event, start to finish, across every platform using this underlying Spark strategy. SparkHub is not just another style of party. It's not another one to add to that long list of ways that we can run our parties. It is that foundational layer on which we can run on demand, Facebook, Squee, in person, Zoom, things I've never heard of. Whatever you're running, you can use it with this underlying strategy and the tools that help to synergize and help to bring all of the components together. So if you're ready to stop relying on these party methods that are great, but they're incomplete, or things that are taking you way too much time, then I invite you to check out my free webinar, which is called Party on Project Broadcast. And make sure you stay tuned here because I have some more videos coming up about this very topic. I'll talk to you soon.